Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy Kemza James. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this pant, and it's a straight cut pant. So mine is going to have a pocket and a front zip, which this does not have. And disclaimer, these are not my pictures. These are internet source pictures. I think the designer's name is Stitches by AC on Instagram or so. So let's get into it, guys. So guys, I'm going to be drafting a straight cut pant. So it's not a wide leg trouser or a pencil trouser, it's a straight cut trouser, and I don't want it to be so tight on me. So I'm going to fold it by 2. So how I'm folding it is half of my lap measurement plus a little bit of allowance. That's what I'm going to be needing. So you can just go ahead and divide half of your lap measurement. Now I'm using half of my lap measurement because it's the widest circumference, and the reason is because I'm dividing my lap into 2 while my hip is into 4. So usually you would have your lap circumference as what you use to measure, except of course I can never say always, because there are so many reasons why people have irregularities in their body. So but for now, this is what we are working with. So what I'm going to do is to mark I'm going to mark 1 inch here, which simply because I said I don't want it to be so tight on me, so I'm going to mark 1 inch on this side before I continue. So now I'm going to be inserting all my my vertical measurements. So I'm going to be marking my horizontal measurement of my vertical. I don't know how to explain that properly for you. So from my waist to my hip line, I'll mark here. Then from my, I want it to be a high-waisted pant, and I'm going to be adding waistband. So from my hip, from my waist as well, I'll mark to my crouch length. Then I'll go ahead and mark my knee as well. So I'll go ahead and mark my knee line, then the hem of my pants, which I'm going to use the entire length of the Ankara. So I'll go ahead and mark it here as well and connect that into a straight line. So I'm just going to connect it into a straight line. So on my crouch line, this is my hip line, this is my crouch line. I'm going to be using this point as my waistline. Then this is my knee line. Now on my crouch line, I'm going to mark half of my lap measurement. So it's basically just the entire fabric. So I'm starting from this point here. That's the 1 inch point. That's where I'm starting from. Now on my hip measurement, I'm going to mark 1/4 of my hip line. So I'll mark it like so. Now on the waist measurement, I'll mark 1/4 of my hip line as well. Note that I said my hip line, so I will just go ahead and connect like so. So when I do that, I'm going to connect my crouch as well. So I'll just connect it like so. I have this curve here. So now there's something that happens to me because of my tummy region, so I would have to contour this side a little bit. So if you have a girth as well, you can just go ahead and somewhere around here, maybe you mark 1.5 inches upwards from your hip line. You mark 1.5 inches upwards. Then I'm coming in by half of an inch. That's to eradicate some sort of folds that happens around that region. So I'm just going to find how to connect it to this line like so. Just go ahead and connect it. Then I'll connect it back to my hip line, to the normal line here. So here we go. So this now becomes our crouch line instead of this other line. So that will help eradicate some folds that happens, some excess bagging that happens around that front side of the trouser. So by the time I'm done doing that, on the waistline, I'm coming down by 1 inch so that it sits nice and snug on the waist. I'll come down by 1 inch. So I'm going to mark my darts now. So from here, I'm going to mark my bust pan, half of my bust pan like so. Then I take ½ inch on both sides. On this side as well, I'll mark half of my bust pan. Then I'll just measure the length of my dart. So I want to work with 7 inches. I know you would say it's long, but it's totally fine. Go ahead and use whatever you want to work with. Then I go ahead and draft my dart. So here we go. Now I'm going to mark my waistline. So I'm going to mark 1/4 of my waistline like so. Then this 1 inch for that, because I'm going to sew in the dart. I'll pay for the dart, which is like so. Then I'm marking 1 inch sewing allowance. Now that's the reason you need this extra 1 inch on this side. So I'll mark 1 inch sewing allowance. So now this is it. I'm going to connect this 1 inch that I came down here. I would connect it to this side of the waist. Now it would be nice if you have a hip pant curve, so that you can just go ahead and use that. It will be a lot nicer. I'll just go ahead and draw that like so. So on the crouch line now, whatever your lap measurement is here, you will divide it by 2 with your tape like so, and you place half of it. You place what you have from this 1 inch here. I'm going to place that like this. Then I'll do the same thing here. I'll place the same thing on this side as well, and on the hem as well. What you want to do is to get a straight line from this crouch. You want to get a straight line downwards. So I'll do the same thing on the hem side. So now on my knee measurement, I'm going to divide half of my knee circumference. So that's what I'm going to work with. So I'll divide my knee circumference by 4. So whatever I have, I'm going to mark it here. So I want to work, because I said I want the pant a little bit loose. So half of my knee circumference is going to be 10. So I'll be dividing it into 4. I said I was dividing my knee circumference into 4. Now, so my entire knee circumference that I want to work with for this pant is 20 inches. So I'll mark 5 here, and I'll move it from the midpoint. I'll still mark 5 here. That's a total of 20. Because by the time you're working with the front and the back as well. So that's it. So now you're going to do the same thing to the hem. Because I said I want a straight cut pant, it's not a boot cut. Whatever I have on the knee is what I'm going to mark on the hem as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark the exact same thing. Then I'll be connecting that in a straight line. So from the knee, I'll connect it straight to the hem. So by the time I do that, I'm going to grab my pant curve. So I'm going to use this curved side to get a nice curve from this side. That's for the inner thigh of the pants. Now the next thing is to go ahead and do the same to sew to mark this side. Now I'm going to be adding ½ of an inch sewing allowance on this side for the outer thigh joining. Then I'm going to be connecting it like so. So I'll just nicely connect like so. Then I'm going to flip my curve as well and connect like so. So this is it about the front. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the front now. So because I'm a tall person, the length of Ankara is usually hardly enough for me to make pants. So instead of cutting it horizontally, I cut my front pattern horizontally and cut the back pattern vertically, because the back pattern is usually longer than the front pattern. So that's why you're seeing this mark on that other side. So I folded it in half like so. So I'm going to lay my front pattern on the back side. I'm going to on the back side of my pants. So what you want to do is to leave at least 2 to 3 inches length, 3 inches on this side. So this is where I have my pattern. So I'm going to lay it in such a way that I have at least 3 inches allowance on the upper side. You can do more if you're a curvier person and you have a lot of hip. So but 3 is usually enough for me. So I'll just make sure I'm laying it nicely and everything is sitting properly. And on this other side as well, you want to have at least 3 inches there. Depending on how curvy you are, you can even need 4 depending on how curvy you are. So what I want to do right now is to draw. I will extend this line like so. I'm going to be extending my crouch line on the back side like so. So I'm going to be marking 3 inches. From here, I'll be marking 3 inches. If you're not a big person, if you're a smaller person, you should work with 2 inches or 2.5 at most. So every other place on this side, I'm going to be marking 2 inches and 2 inches on the hem as well. So every other place is going to be 2 inches. Now this 2 inches is going to be the sewing allowance. Remember, we did not add sewing allowance to our pattern initially on this other side. So I'll add. So this is going to be, now this extension is to accommodate your butt. That's why here is 3 inches instead of 2. So I'll connect the rest as a straight line. So now back to the waist side. On the waist side, this side, you remember we took out 1 inch on the front side to keep it nice and snug. Now I'm going to return that 1 inch on the back side and also extend the back side by 1.5 or 2 inches upwards again. Now the reason is to accommodate, is to have it cover your butt, because your butt goes higher on the back. So they call that the butt rise. So that's going to cover for the butt rise. So I have another extra 2 inches there. Now I want a dart on the back as well. So for this waist side on the front, I'll measure what I have. So whatever I have from this side seam here, whatever I have here on the front, I'll go ahead and mark the same thing like so towards that butt rise that I mark in a slanted manner. So I'll just mark here, then I'll get my ruler and connect it to this point here like so. So you can also use a curve instead, but your curve has to be going, like it should be in a rising form like so. So from here you can use a curve like so, which is also fine, or a straight line, it's fine as well. So when you get this, you come back to this point here, that's your back crouch line. Then I'm going to come down by 0.6 inches. That's to create ease for movement on the back side here. Then you go ahead and use your free hand. Now first off, I'm going to make a curve from the beginning here. From that 0.6 that I came down, I'm just going to make a light curve. Then I'll connect it to this point like so. So this will be it. Now it's left for you to draft. I'll move the waist a little, then from this side I'm going to draft my dart. So I'll mark my bust span measurement, and for my back dart I'm going to make it shorter than my front dart. So my back dart length is going to be 5 inches. So I'll just mark it 5 inches and mark ½ inch on both sides like so, and I'll go ahead and connect that. And for the side seam, it's going to be the same, right? The same as the front side seam. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'll go ahead and cut. So let me start from where you can see. So by the time I'm done, I'll just pick the front side and I'll mark my pocket where I'm going to be placing my pocket. So I'm going to mark the length. I want 8.5 inches, or 8 inches is fine, or let me just do 8.5 the length, and I'm going to make the opening by 2.5. So remember, we have ½ inch joining allowance here, so at the end of the day it's going to be 2 inches the opening. Now I'm just going to make a notch on that 8.5 here and make a notch on the 2 inches here as well. Then I'll come with my iron to add a little bit of stay there to keep it nice. And if you want a lining, you can go ahead and cut your lining. So I'm going to be cutting my lining to stop on my knee point. So it's just going to be the exact same thing, but it will just stop on the knee point. So I'll cut the lining and stay the pocket side. Just this side, you just add a little bit of paper stay or hair stay on this pocket angle here. So when I do that, I'll come to show you. So I have pieces of my paper stay. It's just a little you need. Even this one alone can be enough for me, but that's what I'm going to use. Then I cut out this square of my lining piece. So this is a very good quality lining, so I'm using it in place of a pocketing for my pocket or my pocket bag, whatever you prefer to call it. So I measured it 17 by 17, but if you're a smaller person, 14 by 14 will be just fine for you. So I'm going to be using this for my pocket bag. Then here's my lining piece that I cut out as well. So you can go ahead. This lining, I know it's not the best choice of color for this print. Black would have been a lot better, but I love the quality of this white. That's why I'm using it. So I also have this cut out. So this was from the crouch, this crouch here that we cut. So I just extended it and cut it out. I'm going to use it on the pocket side, so it will be the pocket like a facing for the pocket. So you would see how we'll use that when we get to our sewing table. So you remember that 2.5 inch by 8.5 inches we have here. Now on the wrong side of the print, I'm just going to lay that material, the hairstay, like so on the wrong side. Then I'm going to be ironing it on it. Sorry, the extension of my iron is not that long. So I'm just going to be trimming this off like so. Now that point where you notched, so don't forget there are two parts here. I'm going to notch on the hairstay as well. Then the other point here, the notched point on this side, I'm just going to fold this inwards. Now you can decide whatever shape you want to put here, but I'll just go with a straight pocket. So the shape can really be anything you want. So maybe in another video I'll show you how to make designer pockets or something. So if you're interested in that video, let me know in the comment section. So on this side as well, I'll do the same thing. So here we go. This is what the pocket side looks like. So let's head over to the sewing machine. So guys, I really do not want this video to be extensively long, so I'll be stopping it here. Meanwhile, this is what we're going to be dealing with in the sewing video, which will be the next video after this one. So it's going to be the fixing the pockets, that's the inseam pocket, as well as fixing our fly zipper, our waistband, and overall sewing the pants as well. So please give me a thumbs up if you find this video helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed, and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on the forthcoming video and a lot more videos to come. And also please share my videos with your friends and family, guys, so you don't get to learn all of these alone, so that they get to learn as well. But for the meantime, see you in my next video, guys. Bye.